The thing is, like, we know the truth about love, which that love is an ancient mystery, and it's a thing that you cannot quantify no matter how hard you try. And I would describe it as being struck by lightning.
혜성! 와, 너다.
Celine Song has a lot to say about love. She explored how it stretches between the past and present in her Oscar-nominated film, Past Lives.
There's a word in Korean. 인연. It means providence or fate.
Do you believe in that?
That's just something Koreans say to seduce someone.
Now she's back, diving into the mysteries and marketing of the human heart in her new film, Materialists.
You're the matchmaker. You must know a lot about love.
I know about dating.
But before she became one of Hollywood's hot new talents, Song was a kid from a family who traveled from South Korea to a new life in Canada. But I want to go back. I want to take you back to a place I know, Two Good Pond.
Oh my God! Yes.
I grew up in Unionville.
You did?
I did.
Oh my God!
I know that small body of water.
Yeah.
And so do you. Talk to me about Markham. What was that like for 13-year-old Celine?
Oh,
I mean, arriving in Canada from Korea, very different.
Yeah, I feel like culturally it is a complete uprooting and a kind of getting used to a new thing. But you're young enough that you're able to kind of like adjust and figure it out. The thing that's quite real though is that Tim Hortons became such a huge part of like my life,
Yeah.
because like in Markham, like that's kind of like where we would all walk from our high school to we would just walk to Tim's.
Right. So your dad was a writer?
Yeah, he was a writer and a filmmaker back in Korea.
I mean, that's
then we immigrated. Yeah.
so lucky for you that you
Yeah,
had like an artistic parent, right?
Well,
Like,
I had both my parents are artistic. My mom was an illustrator and a graphic designer.
so when you talked about going into a life of the arts, like they totally supported you?
Of course, I mean it's they know what it's like to be freelance artists, and I feel very lucky that I have parents who really understand the life, and so much of being a freelance artist is well, you're your own boss, which is
And
great.
they didn't push you to like my dad's a lawyer, and I remember when I was talking about going into film, I was like, what about entertainment law? Like they wanted something a little more practical, a little less risk.
Well, I think that some of those things are I think something that I know is that like having parents who have had made a living and have a life as a result of being a freelance artist is that they know the risks, of course, but they also know how great it could be, and also like what is also possible that you can make a living doing it.
So we'll jump ahead.
Yeah.
So now you're making a go of it as a playwright in New York City, but you have this side gig which leads into this film.
Yeah.
You worked as a I didn't even know there was
a
such
real
a
job.
thing
Yeah, I know.
in our time.
Hey, are you single? I'm a matchmaker. Give me a call if you want to meet somebody.
Just like in the movie Materialists, Song's day job was working as a matchmaker. What was the day-to-day of that job like?
Well, you go, you have meetings with your clients, and then you set them up on the blind dates, and then you do feedback sessions. It's kind of like that. You're kind of like managing their expectations, So
you would sit down, and I would say, okay,
this is what I'm looking for.
I not too heavy,
Yeah.
into sports,
Yes.
and their favorite movie better be blank, like that kind of thing.
No older than this, no younger than this, like, you know what I mean? So it's like you would tell me like all these different things, and then I feel like then I would go in search of somebody who fits into at least some of those criteria, right? And I think that I learned more about people in those 6 months than I did in any other part of my life, because I think that people are very honest with you when you have the service of getting them a boyfriend.
I deserve someone who fulfills all of my criteria.
Nothing over 20 BMI.
I don't want someone who likes cats.
I'm trying to settle. I promise you're going to marry the love of your life.
Dating is a game that we're all playing so that we can one day find love within it. And the thing about the game is that the language that is happening in the game itself are so numbers oriented. It's about height, weight, income, income, education, right, and age. So when you're thinking about like what they have, it really becomes a list of statistics, right? But then of course I know
Just transactional.
Just transactional. And the thing is, like, we know the truth about love, which that love is an ancient mystery, and it's a thing that you cannot quantify no matter how hard you try. And I would describe it as being struck by lightning, right? And it's like, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It just is.
But day after day, people are sitting down in front of you and
Yeah.
saying, Celine, I want to be struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Why hasn't that
Well,
happened
I want to be
yet?
struck by lightning by specifically people with these statistics, right? And I think that's what really troubled me about the way that we talk about dating and pursuit of love and what love really is, which is just a feeling. It's an ancient feeling that just you're inspired by just by looking at another person, right?
Just washes over you like
just
like
washes
rain.
over you, and then when it happens, and you're just like, well, I can't do anything about that. It's out of your control. It's surrender. Love is surrender.
When I see your face, I see wrinkles and children that look like you. So where does that leave us?
Materialists could be seen as a throwback, an old-fashioned romance about a man and a woman and another man. But in the age of dating apps and algorithms, is it romance that's out of date? As someone who believes in this unmeasurable quotient that is love, how do you feel about the fact that it's on our phone now and there's an algorithm trying to match your heart to someone else's?
Yes. Well, I think that I'm very troubled by it.
Yeah.
And the thing that I am very concerned about is the way that we commodify and objectify each other and eventually ourselves too. And there's a line in my film where a character says, I'm not merchandise, I'm a person.
Yeah.
And I think that so much of what is happening on our phones or what's happening in the modern world, especially as we start to lean on algorithms and lean on numbers, is that it's only getting faster and easier to treat each other like we're merchandise. And then of course, if you are a merchandise, how do you improve the value of yourself as a merchandise, especially comparing yourself to a global dating market or global world of merchandise, right? Well, there's such a language about self-improvement, right? For example, where it's like Botox, right? Anything from going to the gym or going to do this. And there's so many ways that there's so many industries that are about improving your value as merchandise.
Right.
But the truth is that a merchandise cannot fall in love with another merchandise. Only thing that is possible is for a person to fall in love with another person. I'm always talking about when it comes to the genre of romance, and this is a modern romance. Materialist is a modern romance. What I think about so much is that, well, not all of us can save the world, but the thing that I know all of us, even the most ordinary of us, can do, that is that we can perform a piece of miracle, which is to love someone and to feel loved. And I think that, to me, is a universal theme that is completely worthy of cinema.
Harry, you are what we call a unicorn. Wow. An impossible fantasy.
What's your dream vacation?
I don't even have a passport.
Yeah, let's get you one.
John,
Lucy? Definitely didn't expect to run into you today.
I missed you.
Missed you too.
There's almost a bit of like a rebellious act of Materialist in that you're making an old-fashioned romance. We don't get these anymore.
No.
Like, we grew up broadcast news,
Yes.
Harry Met Sally. Like, we used to trip over these films. There were so many of
Yeah.
them. Does Hollywood value love the way you value love?
I mean, I don't know if I can speak to all of Hollywood because they let me make this movie, right, at least. So I think that what I really do think about is that I think increasingly, as we also are having trouble believing in love and believing in true love, especially outside of all the material things, I feel like it is becoming harder and harder to tell stories that welcomes the audience in. That is all of those things.
Now, from the pages of her own life story, Materialist is Song's biggest film yet, starring some of Hollywood's biggest names. Is there still a part of you that, like, the Celine that was writing plays in New York City years ago, sitting down across from Pedro Pascal, like where you are now in your career? How does that feel? Or there's those
so
moments
cool. I mean, it's like something that I know is really real. Is like when I'm working with actors, the relationship has to always be about between the actor and director. So when I see Pedro, I feel like, and we're working together, it's always like between an actor and a director trying to work out the story and the script and the characters. But of course, it is the moment that the movie is done, I'm of course getting to see, right.
There they are.
There they
These
are.
beautiful people
Yeah, of course.
telling your stories.
It's so amazing.
Lip liner, $25.
In Materialist Song's main character, Lucy, wants to marry rich, but her simple tastes say who she really is.
Coke and beer.
Coke. And beer, $9.50.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, John.
After everything Song's experienced, taste still brings her back to her roots, whether it's a Timmy's or something else.
Something that I was thinking about a lot is like, well, it's the kind of like, it's like the Cinnabons I used to love at Merfield Mall, right? It's kind of like,
the best.
That's the best. But the thing is like, well, it's always like, it reveals your choice of drink or your favorite kinds of foods. Like those are the kinds that reveal who you were as in your heart of hearts.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like once in a while when I'm like feeling like not as grounded as I want to feel, I will just say like, well, I'm just some girl from Markham, you know, like what a place I am, you know, what a place I've come to, you know, it's amazing.